Kekurangan talenta keamanan cyber bukan hanya menjadi tantangan industri, tapi ancaman langsung terhadap ketahanan digital nasional. Di tengah percepatan digitalisasi di berbagai sektor, Indonesia ini masih menghadapi kesenjangan serius, khususnya dalam ketersediaan tenaga ahli cyber baik dari sisi jumlah maupun kualitas. Upaya pelatihan dan pendidikan seperti yang dilakukan sejumlah pihak swasta melalui program akademi ataupun pelatihan teknis ini bisa menjadi langkah awal. Lalu apakah upaya ini cukup sistemik untuk menjawab urgensi yang terus meningkat? Insight akan membahasnya bersama saya, Desi Anwar.
Kurangnya talenta keamanan cyber kini tak lagi sebatas tantangan industri, melainkan ancaman langsung bagi ketahanan digital Indonesia. Di tengah percepatan digitalisasi di hampir semua sektor, kesenjangan serius masih terasa, baik dari sisi jumlah maupun kualitas tenaga ahli. Meski sejumlah pihak swasta telah menggagas program akademi dan pelatihan teknis, pertanyaannya adalah, apakah langkah ini cukup sistemik dan berkelanjutan untuk menjawab urgensi yang terus meningkat? Di tengah kebutuhan akan solusi yang lebih menyeluruh, ITSEC Cybersecurity Summit 2025 hadir sebagai momentum penting. Digelar pada 26 hingga 28 Agustus di Jakarta, forum ini digadang menjadi yang terbesar di Asia Tenggara dengan berfokus pada perlindungan infrastruktur kritis. Menghadirkan pakar global, regulator, dan pelaku industri, ajang ini diharapkan menjadi ruang strategis untuk menyatukan gagasan, memperkuat kolaborasi lintas sektor, serta mengukur kesiapan Indonesia menghadapi eskalasi ancaman cyber. Tak hanya sebatas diskusi, summit ini juga menghadirkan serangkaian program konkret mulai dari pelatihan bersertifikat untuk memperkuat kapasitas SDM, kompetisi Capture the Flag atau CTF yang menguji keterampilan talenta muda, hingga pameran teknologi yang menampilkan inovasi pertahanan digital terbaru. Inilah bentuk aksi nyata langkah kolaboratif yang bisa menjawab celah cyber, sekaligus meneguhkan upaya Indonesia untuk ketahanan digital yang lebih kokoh.
Sektor infrastruktur kritis seperti energi dan transportasi berada dalam posisi rentan. Ketergantungan pada sistem otomasi industri ternyata membuka celah terhadap serangan melalui jalur OT atau Operational Technology yang kerap luput dari perhatian. Ancaman nyata seperti serangan yang menyebabkan pemadaman listrik massal di Eropa yang tidak lama lalu berlangsung harusnya menjadi pengingat ya bahwa sistem pertahanan digital di sektor vital di Indonesia ternyata masih belum cukup kuat. Lebih lagi, perlindungan sistem ini membutuhkan lebih dari sekedar perangkat lunak, namun juga dibutuhkan komitmen strategis, investasi jangka panjang, dan juga koordinasi lintas sektor yang konsisten. Lalu seperti apa wacana pengadopsian teknologi berbasis AI misalnya dapat dilakukan, dan juga peran Forum Keamanan Cyber dapat diterjemahkan menjadi aksi nyata dengan mendorong kolaborasi regional dan juga keberlanjutan kebijakan di bidang pertahanan cyber. Sudah bersama saya di studio ditemani oleh Patrick Rudolf Dannacher selaku Presiden Direktur dari PT ITSEC Asia untuk membahasnya. Patrick, hi.
Thank you very much for having me.
No, my pleasure. I hope, did you get some of that introduction that I did?
Yes, I did.
Good.
Thank you.
Well, basically, that we are now living in a cyber world. Our dependence on cyber technology, on the computers, on the internet, on gadget, on network, and on all things digital is absolutely, we can't live without it. And of course, with that comes all sorts of risks. And for example, in the forms of cyber attacks, cyber crimes, all sort of things cyber. So when we talk about cyber security, particularly in an increasingly cyber world and the cyber space that we occupy, what does it actually constitute exactly?
Good question. I mean, you hit the nail on the head. We are living in a digital society, especially here in Indonesia. The digital economy counts for 90 billion revenues and going up tremendously. But that carries some risks, what you said. Exposure to to the internet is one. Inside exposure is another one. The whole world is going way digital. AI is a hot topic. You can see it everywhere. Cyber attacks are a hot topic. People are watching CNN. They can read it and hear it every day.
And we're watching Hollywood. It's full of
the movies
cyber attacks.
The movies are science fiction, but is it really only fiction, or is it getting into reality? I think we're very close to transforming what we see as science fiction movies to actually live in day in, day out. I mean, one number which might shock you is 3.6 billion cyber attacks have been reported by BSSN in Indonesia itself in the first half year of 2025.
3.6 billion.
Yes.
Perhaps you could tell me a little bit about the methods and some of the more popular ways of attacking through the cyberspace.
The number tells you it cannot be done by humans anymore. It's not somebody somewhere in an office trying to hack and use its laptop and its computer to actually get access and try bad things. It's really automated cyber terrorism, cyber attacks. So they use all kinds of tools, scanners, which run constantly to find vulnerabilities, whether it's in the private sector, public sector, state-owned enterprises, everybody is affected. Now, if you look from their point of view, let's say from these bad actors, they're obviously going like the water down the river to the easiest target there is. And the scanners will tell them there are some vulnerabilities here, there's some vulnerabilities there, and for them to exploit those these days is pretty simple.
Yeah, the main targets these days, I mean, obviously, with the evolution of the technology itself and the methods of attacking, like you said, no longer just, some guys in the warehouse sort of hacking, but now using AI and so on and so forth. Well, what can we learn about the methods and also the target, which would also translate into the kind of security system that we need to set up to defend ourselves against these?
Well, before it was always securities in numbers. It will not attack me, they will attack somebody else. It will not affect me, it would be somebody else. Because there's 8 billion people in the world, millions and billions of companies. So, but that security is completely gone. And obviously the prime targets, of course, are the financial industry, where money is, crypto wallets, fintech companies. This would be the first line of interest for these people. But then, of course, a ransomware attack, where they basically encrypt all your data and want money for it to be encrypted again or decrypted again. That's at the forefront these days.
And also governments. For example, we had that incident with the government, the data centers being a victim of cyber attack.
Many people experience that. Landing at the airport, can't go through immigration. People could not sign up to their schools, etc. So I think the impact on issues are getting more and more. So all interconnectivity, of course, doesn't help. One thing doesn't work, like the data center. It has a ripple effect, of course, on all people who are depending on the data center. If there's no energy, there's no energy. If there's no electricity, there's no electricity. So these ripple effects and the connectivity in this world we already live in, which everything is connected.
Yep. Particularly our infrastructure, our public infrastructure, that has huge impact if that gets
Exactly, and you come to a point where obviously the critical infrastructure and what we have there, whether it's power generation, smelters, mining companies, etc., their equipment is of course old, not only in Indonesia but around the globe, 20 years old, 15 years old, 30 years old. It has been set up with no cybersecurity risks in mind. Now, how to fix this? It is very complicated. I mean, you can't switch off a power plant to implement new things and tools and scanners. So this is basically like providing surgery on a marathon runner while he's running. I mean, that's not entirely simple, right? So there has to be, of course, development in the right way. I think the government here is already working on this. I think the presidential decree, which has been announced in 2023, is putting critical infrastructure under certain government rules and regulations. That's the start. But how long will it take to be implemented? That's another issue we have to tackle, right? speed is of essence.
And also that the evolution and the development, the technology, it moves at lightning speed, right? You have to catch up with these things.
Exactly. I mean, catching up is actually not very good, because you should actually do something proactively.
You should be ahead.
You should be ahead. So catching up is definitely the wrong thing, but in reality, we are playing catch up. In Southeast Asia especially, I think Indonesia spends 0.02% of GDP only on
0.02?
On cybersecurity, on GDP.
Ideally, how much should we be spending?
Ideally, it
it
should be a lot more. I mean, if you see neighboring countries like Singapore, which maybe is a little bit easier to monitor, they don't have 17,000 islands, they don't have as many people, they're spending a way vast majority more. Obviously, then we have other issues where the small and medium-sized enterprises are completely unguarded, unprotected, and that doesn't really help also. So you really see a global trend of increased spending on cybersecurity, and that will then result in a slow pace of development. Things are getting better, but so 18 to 20, $30 billion is what cyber criminals are getting out of Southeast Asia. Now that's
a huge
that goes straight into working capital.
Yeah, so cybersecurity should be the priority not just for governments but for companies as well, of any size, right? Because
yes, I mean, obviously a lot of companies still think spending for cybersecurity is an expense to the company. Though I would disagree with that statement. I think it's an investment. Like you buy an insurance policy, cybersecurity investments should happen, not expenses. So we have to transform the perception of this is a cost to my company.
Yeah, they have to shift the mindset.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think that's of paramount importance now to really get visibility, get the C-level to really understand that it's not an expense, it's really an investment.
It's a must. Let's take a little break here, but basically it's like having a house, right? You want to, if you have doors and windows, you want to make sure that they're locked properly so that you can defend yourself from intruders and burglary and so on and so forth, right? So that's
exactly, which comes right to threat intelligence, which means, do we have already, let's say, leaked credentials in the public?
Yeah.
And if so, what do we do with it?
Okay, well, let's hold that question and we'll answer that in the next segment, Patrick. Insight with Desi Anwar akan segera kembali, tetaplah bersama kami. Anda masih bersama Insight with Desi Anwar. Di studio saya ditemani Patrick Rudolf Dannacher selaku President Director dari PT ITSEC Asia, atau kalau bahasa Indonesianya ITSEC Asia. Patrick, I mean, defense obviously is crucial because the cyber attacks, cyber crimes, it's becoming the norm and it's becoming a real threat. Let's delve more into what actually constitutes the cyber defense, especially in the changing sort of methods of the attack and because everything is sort of based on the sophistication of the technology, which means that in order to keep, 3 steps or ahead of the perpetrators, it's a moving target, isn't it, defending the cyberspace?
Yeah, it's a very agile environment we live in. What you rightly said, it's a moving target, so the defense has also be able to move along with it and be 2 steps ahead, ideally, and not 2 steps behind. And I think the perception that if you install an antivirus program on your laptop, you're secured, I mean, that perception has to go. I think that doesn't constitute the reality anymore, doesn't work, is far from being cyber protected. I mean, if you take larger enterprises, and as ITSEC, we run the largest security operations center in Indonesia, we monitor companies 24/7. Now, of course, smaller enterprises can't afford 24/7 monitoring. And if you don't monitor 24/7, there is obviously the gap of people not being in the office, weekends, etc. So monitoring is a crucial aspect of cybersecurity. Find out when data is being transmitted, where are we communicating with, is that normal, is that out of the ordinary, and then start to be really proactive then and there. There's tools available, there's monitoring, there's people who have to understand the matter, you have to implement ready-made tools into their environment and basically really focus on understanding not only cyber, but also understand the company. What data is sensitive, how do they operate, what is normal in their environment. So it's a pretty tailor-made solution for banks, transportation companies, energy companies, etc. And they all have different kind of outreaches, right? We mentioned before OT security. I think that is something completely different than monitoring a bank, for example. If Wolf readers are transmitting data to a control panel, that's different than credit card payments, right, to monitor. But the effects are equally devastating on both sides if things don't work anymore.
So let me try and understand about how a cyber security company such as ITSEC work. I mean, you work together with government, or you work together with, who are your main clients? And when you said it's monitoring, what exactly do you monitor, and what do you look for, and how do you address, for example, whether it's, you know, to create, I don't know, some kind of defensive firewall or whatever, or to, I don't know, how does it work? What are the components of defending against cyber attacks and cyber?
Good question. I think the components, what you mentioned, are hardware components, firewalls, for example, software components, which analyze what is happening within and to the outside of the world. And then you have an overarching system to understand, is this a risk, is this not a risk, etc. So implementing a firewall is one thing, but that doesn't really help at the end of the day. You have to constantly update the firewall because threats are evolving. So the firewall has to be updated. And now look at the complexity of a bank or a telco with hundreds of firewalls. So that again has a risk if something gets forgotten. Laptops are connected, not updated. So really the constant monitoring is at the heart of cybersecurity, I would say. And then of course, using the right tools for the right issues, using the right hardware for the right issues, the combination of it is very important. Now, developing these strategies for these companies go hand in hand. So we sit with the client, we understand the clients, whether it is banking clients or energy clients, and really develop a holistic approach. Fixing one issue by itself and after each other, that's not really a long-lasting success story. That will crack one day or the other. So really being next to the client, sitting with them. Our employees sit in the client's office also from time to time to really understand what are the issues, and then really learn from other issues around the world. I think that's very important, being really extremely fast to adapt environments due to new risk, which we see globally. And we are a global operating company, one of a few Indonesian.
You're an Indonesian company,
We are
right?
an Indonesian company with subsidiaries outside, other than the normality where we have international companies coming here.
That we have Indonesian company that's goes international, so to speak. How long has ITSEC been operating?
We have been operating now, this year, exactly 15 years.
So you've got a good base of clients now, from
We
the
have-
private, public sectors?
Yes, we have definitely a mix of companies. The majority of our clients come from the financial industry because it's the highest regulated
Yes,
one.
of
It's maybe also the one where
then
people are most concerned about as retail or consumers, but it goes way beyond. So we work together with BSSN, the regulator. We work with other regulators together. We work with end clients and clients of different sizes. And as I said, one cannot ignore anymore the issues, whether you're a small company or a big one, and especially with all these fintech companies coming up, the digital transformation, we all know.
And you provide the hardware and the software and the manpower, so to speak, in order?
Well, we are agnostic to hardware and software, so we find the best tools and software for the right fit for the client. I think only selling one thing, you will miss out on others. So really, that's what I meant to say, is it's a tailor-made, holistic approach where you understand the issues and fix them.
On the strategies, for
on
example.
the strategy, and
On the monitoring.
It's a never-ending story,
So,
right?
for example, when attack actually happens, and we've had cases where, for example, banks are victims or financial institutions are victims, whether it's hacking or data leak and so on. What normally happens? What causes a vulnerability? Then, and how do you sort of kind of keep up with the perpetrators, so to speak? Your talents able to kind of match what's going on outside?
Well, the biggest enemy in our industry are people, employees, which of course are sometimes a little bit reluctant. They click on a download link or they open a PDF they shouldn't. And that's then maybe already too late, right? So obviously if there is incidents, first we have to find out what happened. So the incident response team of ours are going into the companies and really finding out from where actually these perpetrators entered into the organization, right? But the attack surface is vast. And the weakest link in any organizations are always the people.
It's always the people. So the vulnerabilities are in the people.
Exactly. So really making people aware of the risks and really educate them about the risks is of paramount importance. I think I can't state that enough, because that's the first line of defense, is the people, the end users, the people in the companies. They should be aware of the risks which are currently ongoing. Other than that, of course, tools will help and monitoring will help, but really at the forefront, we have to deal with people.
The people and the talents. Okay, let's focus more on the talent and the requirement that's needed, but we'll have a little break, because I think this is crucial. I mean, it's like in the army, in the conventional army, it's the soldiers, it's the people that actually strategize and also go out and fight with the correct weapons, and hopefully we know what they're doing.
And they should be equipped properly.
And they should be equipped properly. That's very important. Jadi jangan kemana-mana dulu, tetaplah bersama Insight with Desi Anwar. Kembali bersama Insight with Desi Anwar. Di studio saya ditemani Patrick Dannacher, President Director dari PT ITSEC Asia. And we mentioned that one of the weakest links is actually, or the vulnerabilities that cause cyber attacks or crimes to happen successfully, it's because of the human aspect, the human error. Just out of curiosity, what sort of talents do you have in your cyber security company? How do you, what kind of skills and what sort of background, and how can this can be replicated in order to fill the talent needs that we have in this country, we need to have in this country?
Good question. We have almost 400 employees, and
400.
400, yeah.
Local ones, Indonesian.
Mostly Indonesians, some in Singapore, Australia, Middle East also. But what you rightly said is we're hiring 40, 50 people a year. Now, what actually is required in Indonesia is about 100,000 as of yesterday of cybersecurity professionals. So where are they coming
100,000.
from? 100,000.
Wow.
And growing at 30%, 40% on a yearly basis. Now, obviously you have the whole academia providing you with talents. But as we all know, this is all based on theoretical knowledge, which is maybe a little bit behind the real issues which we currently face. You can't blame the university. I mean, their materials are maybe a little bit outdated, because the pace as we are living in is way too fast to keep it up. So as ITSEC Asia, we decided to set up an academy also. It's right in the workings to actually train people on live cases with live input on real issues which are currently happening. So really to transform what is coming out of universities or people who learn by themselves to really be able to work tomorrow on cybersecurity issues. And as I said, this goes hand in hand. We have definitely the universities, and there are many in Indonesia now teaching cybersecurity. But the gap between theoretical knowledge and practice, we want to actually fill there. So we're not selling online courses. We really provide training based on what we see is happening in Indonesia today.
This academy, how long has it been running for?
Well, we just incorporated the company recently, so we have a whole team now setting this up. It's not entirely simple to set up an academy which, with live content, can really produce talents, but the demand is so
And the
vast.
trainees are from the company, or where do you get them
Training
from?
are from our company and international also, so we are not providing, we try to provide best experts and best-in-class training with real-life examples. So we might get trainers from the US, from Europe, from Singapore, from anywhere around the world, really specific for certain issues. And that's exactly what is missing. You find a lot of university, a lot of online studies, online camps and boot camps, etc. But that is very fragmented. So there's no real academy which is
With
filling
live
the
cases, with real cases.
which is filling the gap, right, between what is coming out and what you need at the end of the day. And we face that internally. So we did a lot of in-house training, learning on the job, and the real issue is that the demand is so vast, and it would make our life a lot easier if the client has more talents in their side, because the problems will not disappear. So really helping the country Indonesia, helping the companies to be ready for what's going to happen. And that we cannot do ourselves alone.
So you collaborate with
universities, exactly.
Okay. And what are the deliverables? I mean, do you have a specific target?
There is, of course, from zero to hero, what we call. So you come with a little knowledge and you should finish the academy as a hero.
How long is
So up to 3 years.
So up to 3 years. So it's basically like a university education. It's a real...
It's a real study program.
What-
It's quite hard to learn.
What are the qualifications? Who can apply, and who are your target audience? Is it bachelor level, or is it professionals who are looking to sort of deepen their knowledge on IT?
For us, the target audience, of course, would be already people working on the job. That's already...
So they already
have experience, exposure to a certain degree, but the knowledge gap and the practice gaps there is still very, very vast. So really making the ones who are currently already working in cybersecurity much more adequate, prepared for what is coming up, I think that's already a big achievement. And of course, we can't do it ourselves. But by creating these academies, you start to create an ecosystem of trained people. They might set up one day or another a startup and really fix issues which are there, but they need to have exposure. They need to learn on current issues. And we're not talking about studies in books. I mean, with AI, etc., I think the development is way too fast.
And so ideally, who are these talents that should join this academy? And is there any sort of like a qualification? Also, how many can expect to graduate in the first
well,
year?
we aim at 500 a year.
500 a year?
Exactly, which is a tiny drop in the ocean. But what I want to highlight is also, if you look at now geopolitical issues, you should also train maybe your army on cyber, because cyber attacks are maybe more going to happen than...
Well, the war is going to be cyber-based. I mean, there's already cyber
Exactly.
wars.
So there will be definitely a huge demand for training the Ministry of Defense. Then there is definitely training required on the state-owned enterprises and all its subsidiary. I mean, Dannacher just announced that they're setting up a university. I think you can see these steps are definitely going in the right way, but are they going fast enough? So we try to really fill the gap here by being at the forefront and really helping. We are not an academy provider. We are a cybersecurity company. So what's coming in there, and what is coming out there should be really what is required in the.
So that's not your core business, then, being an academy. But why is it that you're putting your resource and you're putting your effort and your time? Why do you think it's crucial?
Well,
I mean, why can't you? For example,
in all fairness, we can see where we currently are, what state some companies are into, and as I mentioned before, the weakest link are the people. So really, that's at the core from our now strategy to really get everybody prepared for the future. And also, of course, that is coming with some hard work, learning on the job, and then actually getting these people to defend all these companies, right? And as I said, the more these companies can defend themselves, the better it is, because the world is getting more complex, and cybercrime is growing.
But do you feel that
fast.
companies are increasingly aware of the need to invest in cybersecurity, in getting talent that understand on how things work within the company, as opposed to getting the outside professionals sort of helping them monitor their cyber security defense?
I think people are aware. Do they do what they're aware of? That's another issue sometimes. I think because the issues are so complex that sometimes people don't know where to start and then basically not do anything. And that's actually the worst which can happen. But yes, awareness is there. I mean, people are watching your news, they're watching other news, they're reading papers.
So they may not know how to do it.
They might face it themselves. They might already be under attack currently. So there is constant pressure growing, and there's constant awareness also. I mean, that's also a good platform today, and maybe for your viewers. But how to implement it becomes very, very challenging for a lot of people, especially if you look at the smaller companies, which don't have really experts there,
and resources
right?
as well.
And resources too.
Let's take another little break, Patrick, but we will come back. Tetaplah bersama Insight with Desi Anwar. Kami akan segera kembali. Masih bersama Insight with Desi Anwar, saya ditemani Patrick Dannacher, President Director dari PT ITSEC Asia. So talent developing is one of the focus. This academy is up and running, or is it still in the work in progress?
Work in progress. We are at the last milestones to finish, and it's quite exciting for us, and it's something to give back to the country, I think.
No, it sounds exciting to me. I mean, it is something definitely. We always talk about, we have to create a generation that is competitive, that is skilled, because we have this target 2045, a golden Indonesia. Now, coming back to Indonesia's biggest challenges, obviously, other than the talent pool, the human resources, which the Academy is at least trying to close some of the gap. But what do you see the other biggest challenges to Indonesia when it comes to cyber security? What kind of things should we need to defend? I mean, you mentioned about, you don't want to have suddenly a massive blackout in a public infrastructure that creates havoc, for example. Yeah. How do you see Indonesia, how ready or not ready are we to face these kinds of attacks and the potential cyber warfare that is always a risk?
I think there's two elements to look into there. I think the bigger organizations, the bigger companies, they know what they should do. They might be a little bit too late, but Indonesia is built on smaller, medium-sized enterprises. I think 97% of the people would work in a small, medium enterprise. Exactly. So now, the affordability of cybersecurity to these companies is an issue. The talent gap, of course, also. So what we have been doing for the last 2 years with our R&D team in Indonesia is really addressing exactly this issue. Okay. Where small or medium-sized enterprises have something available which they only have to plug in, and it works. And it has a dashboard, it creates visibility, so it creates usability. Because the small and medium-sized enterprises, they exactly face these issues. Affordability is one, and most cybersecurity products have been designed for larger enterprises. So the complete neglect of this huge majority of companies and people has to be filled. So we address this issue by Intellibron, which is our own product, where it's so
Intellibron.
Exactly, where this is so simple. You plug it in, you open your dashboard, you can see there is live feed of your environment, of your vulnerabilities. You might not know what to do with it, but we thought about this too. So there is an AI inbuilt, so you can ask, I have an issue, what should I do? It will answer you in the first line of defense. The second line of defense is our Security Operations Center, which monitors all that 24/7. And then, of course, worst comes to worst, they would call us or email us or check with us how to fix the issue. So really, that's something which is completely neglected in Indonesia, and that's actually a huge majority of people who are affected there. So really what we...
And it's easy to use? I mean, because small companies, they may not have anything, you know, they probably don't have any idea on how technology works and so on. Is it easy to use?
It's easy to use. It's plug and play. Obviously, these companies would have internet already, so it's as simple as installing an internet router. So plug and play, open your dashboard, see your vulnerability and work on it. And the implementation is a day. It's not, you have to change things and implement new systems and new rules. So it's really meant for the vast majority of companies.
And what kind of defense or security does this? Intelbron, is it?
Intelbron, yes. So basically it constantly monitors your data flow. In a simple way, if your company is communicating to an unknown source, then you know something is wrong. It would pinpoint within the organization what device would do that. And we all know bring your own device into the company carries maybe the biggest risk, because people will download mobile phone applications, mobile phone games. So it really can pinpoint to the exact computer, laptop or mobile phone which has been compromised. So you can isolate it, fix it, and if the alerts don't come, then you know you have been successful. If they keep coming, the problem might be a bit bigger, and then some investigation could start. But it's really to visualize your issues.
Okay. So Intelibron. So this is the kind of thing that you need to have on top of the CCTV cameras that you installed. You should have something like, you know, a monitor for your...
One can argue which one is more important. I mean, CCTVs or cybersecurity these days. I think you rather invest in a cybersecurity solution.
But it's available now?
It's available. The website is up and running. You can apply for it online. We'll have people who help you with the installation to really make it easy. It's not costing more than the coffee expense of certain companies.
Is this like an innovation? Is this a new thing, or is it a new thing for Indonesia, or is it something, you know, that is specifically tailor-made with the small medium enterprises in mind? So
we tailor-made it to the small enterprises in mind. We tailor-made it to the Indonesian market. We tailor-made it to the Indonesian requirements and with Indonesian pricing, because developing something for the US market and try to introduce it here, it will fail because of affordability. So that was at the forefront, really to democratize cybersecurity and to make it available to people with no experience or companies with no experience, but they have to have their shields up, right? So that was at the forefront of the delivery. It took us 2 years.
Is it built and made in Indonesia,
it's
or do you use
100% made in Indonesia with 100% Indonesian talent. So that also shows that talents are available, good products can be produced, and that's something where we are very proud of, that this tool is not only used in Indonesia these days, it's also used internationally. So it really addresses the issue of affordability and cybersecurity as a first line of defense.
So it's a real tool that, you know, people can, with minimum sort of expertise, they can actually...
It's a real tool, it's a box. It doesn't look too fancy, like one cable in, one cable out, but it helps you to detect a lot of issues, and you can fix them.
But what about, I mean, you mentioned that the bigger companies, of course, they have their own, you know, resources to do this. I'm just thinking of going back to the blackouts, for example, in Spain, for example, and also, say, data breaches, particularly for our public, you know, space and infrastructure. What's the best way of getting us to mitigate these things? You're helping the government also coming up with solutions, for example, our power
exactly. So, I mean, whether we talk about PLN, Pertamina, and others, I think...
State-owned enterprises.
State-owned enterprises and others. I think that the problem is fundamentally there, that these companies, and in other countries it's the same, have been growing over time. They have been implementing new tools and new solutions, but there's no 100% guarantee in cybersecurity. But really addressing the issues and working closely with them will help. Now, implementing rules for employees, rules and regulations on the government side, which really pushes these companies to adhere to a certain standard, that will help from the government side or from the BSSN side. Then, of course, you have the day-to-day operation of these companies where for every company, profit maximization is the target, right? The shareholder value increase, etc., where then investments in cybersecurity won't help. But then you have your reputational risks and other risks where you need to find a good balance on how much we want to invest in cybersecurity and how much we are willing to take a risk in not investing, right? But
do you think the Indonesian government, they are prioritizing cybersecurity and they are investing in it, and particularly sort of educating those who are, working in the government? I mean, like you said, the most vulnerable, the weakest link at the end of the day,
so
the people.
The rules and regulations are coming out quite frequently, and they are actually very good in terms of standards and in processes, but that's the rules and regulations. Now you have to implement those at the back end, right? So these companies have to follow rules and regulations. I think data protection acts have been introduced, etc. So we are all on the right track, but
the implementation is there.
The implementation is there, but how do you force implementation? Without penalties, this is like if you tell a kid not to do something without consequences, they will still do it again. So there has to be some check and balance. We're on the right track. The issue is massive. The rules and regulations are getting in place. Most of them are already in place, but the implementation has to work.
That's more of a challenge.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. And compared to the rest of the region, we're still kind of.
Well, I think.
How do we score? I mean, come on.
I think Singapore is at the forefront of implementation. It's also maybe the easiest country in Southeast Asia to manage. It's merely a city to manage, and also financial capabilities are there easily available. So I think the issue is really to make the dollar or the rupiah you spend most effective,
Goes a long way.
It has to go a long way.
Okay, we have one more segment to go, Patrick, but
yes.
Stay with us. Jangan kemana-mana dulu, Insight with Desi Anwar akan segera kembali. Kembali bersama Insight with Desi Anwar, saya ditemani Patrick Dannacher, President Director dari PT ITSEC Asia. Cybersecurity, very important. It should be a priority for everybody.
Absolutely.
I mean, even us with our smartphones, we have to make sure that we've got the passwords, we've got the, double, triple authentication and so on and so forth. Just before we go on the defense, now the attackers, the perps, what can we learn about them? How are they evolving? And are they sort of like super geniuses, or can they actually just be anybody, with a bit of AI tool and then create havoc? I mean, what are we warring or fighting against here?
Exactly. I mean, I think what you just mentioned is exactly where we're heading to. I mean, before you might have to be somebody smart and really understand the vulnerabilities and look for them. These days, AI is not helping, right? Because you just can ask the questions out, how can I attack this Wi-Fi? What should I do? And it will give an answer. So the entry hurdle on the bad side is getting lower, which means the attack surface is getting bigger. More people are trying to penetrate different systems, and that's another worrying thing, right? I mean, the availability of information today is good on the defense side, but it's also good on the attacking side, of course. It's, as you said, it's a catch-up game. You have to be ahead now. You can't be behind anymore,
Okay. Let's talk about strategies of being ahead, apart from all those things that we talked about, creating the talent pool and also helping small, medium enterprises to sort of protect themselves. But there has to be a collaborative, effort, so not just, with a public, private, personal, but also within, countries. And what sort of ecosystem are we talking about when we want to create some kind of a cybersecurity defense that is, strategically strong and meaningful?
I think isolated efforts don't really go a long way. So it really goes hand in hand from the regulator to state-owned enterprises to awareness to really executing these things. That's also why we host the largest critical infrastructure cyber event on the 26th of August until the 28th in Jakarta, to really invite all our clients and not clients to this event to learn. It's not an event to sell products and sell issues, but really to see how other companies, other countries are living in today's cyber world, right? And this collaboration, exchange of information, addressing the talent gap, etc., all has to work together. If it doesn't, if we fall short on one, that's exactly what the perpetrator will use. And I think all this information exchange, collaboration, awareness trainings, awareness is paramount in terms of importance, because we need to really get everybody aware. And if everybody is aware, there's more spending into cyber. If more spending is into cyber, the defenses are up. So it's really something where we cannot delay until tomorrow anymore.
Okay, and everybody, is there a buy-in? What kind of feedback? Companies are they interested in, or they want to take part in the summit?
Well, we have international companies showing what they're doing. Even we go all the way until quantum computing, so quantum encryption, which is maybe 5 years ahead. But we have to address these issues today, and not only when it's too late. So quantum computing can change our world we live in completely.
And what about the national companies? Are they joining the
Yes,
summit?
of course. I mean, not to name drop any, but we have most of the bigger enterprises are joining us, and we're very grateful for this, and we're very much looking forward to welcome them and really show what the world is currently dealing with.
Okay, and the key deliverables, obviously, we want to see something that's implementable and fast and accessible and
exactly. So we would say it's really an awareness campaign, also best practice campaign, what we should aim at, and the implementation then always goes back to these companies. In school, you would say it's homework. There, it's really their day-to-day work where they have to implement what they have seen and what they have learned as of yesterday, and not as of tomorrow.
Yeah, and the thing is about the technology just evolves very, very quickly, and this AI kind of speeds things up. We don't know where it's going, but in terms of let's be futuristic, and maybe the future is already now. How do you prepare for this, particularly with the AI and then types of cyber warfare, cyber crimes, and the use of cyber not in a very nice way? I mean, because we have lots of good uses of the technology, but this...
Exactly. We go back to people, right? People in organization, people in governments, people in the Ministry of Defense, people in other institutions. They are at the forefront of the defense. So we have to look after them, train them. They have to be aware of what is coming tomorrow. If they're not aware of what is coming tomorrow, no matter what you try to do, we will all fail together. So I think that's what I said before, is the integration of all efforts that has to happen, whether it's academia, whether it's regulation, whether it's the end user, whether it's best practices of implementation of best practices. If that works together, we can sleep a little bit better at night. If it doesn't really work, then no matter what, technology is evolving so fast that...
But what's your greatest worry out of all these? I mean, because obviously you have to keep thinking, what ifs.
We don't want to sell on fear or fear-mongering or whatever you want to call this. I think...
Well, the readiness, the preparation is important.
The thing we should really focus on is really the awareness and what all could happen. Indonesia had some glimpse of what could happen. Other countries had bigger glimpses of what could happen. So let's not wait till it happened to us to learn from it. I mean, I think learning from others is much easier than if it happens to yourself. So I think really the awareness and the effort you have to put, that's a very crucial aspect now. And as I said, let's not wait till things happen. Let's be prepared for yesterday. If you are prepared for tomorrow, it's good.
Yeah, absolutely. Preparation is actually the best form of defense.
Correct.
Isn't it? But you yourself, in terms of creating preparedness, so to speak, is AI, using AI and using technology is also part of the key of implementing cybersecurity?
I would look at it from, let's say, if you go look at it from a business perspective, I think the implementation of AI and automation makes our own product and other products cheaper and more accessible. So I think that's the right start. So use the tools to be more efficient so your spend can go longer. So I think the implementation of AI, yes, it's already happening. Everybody's using it, whether it's ChatGPT and others. It carries a certain risk. So now again, you need to train the people and make them aware of, should I now share all information? Should I now upload all critical data and analyze these data in the cloud? Where is that data sitting? And I think all these risks, if people are aware and if you get them to use AI smartly and sensibly, that's again one step ahead of time, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And your company, I mean, how do you see your company? How are you expanding it?
Well, the integration
stay
of
relevant and ahead of the game, obviously.
So, of course, the integration of AI and automation helps us to reach more people, to operate at a more affordable price. The more people and companies we reach, the safer the country will get. So I think that is at the core initiatives of ours. So to really use the tools available in the most efficient way. I think that's of paramount importance. And the current risk landscape is growing, so has the defenses. So any investment in the defenses has to happen. And as I said
and
before,
you're growing yourself, your company, ITSEC, in the last 15 years. You've seen it grow.
Well, we started with 9 employees and now close to 400.
And then in the future?
In the future, of course, I think the dependency on people might be a little less going forward. You might need a little less people, but more experienced people. So we really want to have the first line of defense outsourced to the client. That's why the academy comes in play, training, awareness, etc. So we can really focus on the icing on the cake and not really how to bake the cake, if I may say so. So I think specialized services will be in high demand, but the first line of the defense should happen at the client. You need to make them help themselves. That's
and also making products like the IntelliBot.
Exactly, and of course we invest in R&D. We cannot stop and say now the product is finished. So there's always iteration, updates, as you get the updates on your operating system on the phone. So we are making the product future-proof, and that takes investments, hard work, hard labor, innovation, and it's all done here. And we're very proud of that.
Okay, well, we're running out of time, but I just want to get your last word from you. What would you like to, when it comes to cybersecurity, what would be the foremost thing that we should have in our mind, whether on an individual level, a company level, even the government level? What is the key?
I think the key is
defense?
what we had 2 issues: awareness, work with caution, operate with caution, and address really the shortage of experienced personnel and people, not only in Indonesia, globally. So if we focus on these 2 things, we are one step ahead. But it takes efforts, and efforts can only be achieved jointly. So I think that's
through collaboration
from any stakeholders possible.
Getting all the great minds
work together. Usually better than working isolated. Absolutely.
Okay, well, Patrick, thank you very much for your insight. And
Thanks for having me.
the Cyber Summit again. It's what?
It's on the 26th to the 28th of August in Pacific Place here in SJBD in Indonesia, focusing really on critical infrastructure. I can only recommend the people working in this industry, and even if not, to really see where we are and what can be done.
Okay.
Thank you.
Let's hope to see you there.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Once again, thank you very much, Patrick. Demikian Insight with Desi Anwar kali ini. Jangan lupa Anda juga dapat menyaksikan tayangan ini di cnnindonesia.com dan di YouTube CNN Indonesia Insight with Desi Anwar. Sampai jumpa. Stay safe. Bye-bye.